everyone! So I am finally back with my September monthly plan with me video, and I'm so sorry for being late with this one. It's just been really hectic lately. We had family staying over, so it was just never quiet enough for me to record my voiceover, but even though we're already into September, I thought better late than never, and I still wanted to post this anyways because I feel like this fall theme can work for October and November as well. So let's keep this intro short and jump right into the video. Like I mentioned, this month was so busy, I didn't have a ton of time to actually plan for September, so even though it looks intricate, everything I'm doodling is actually super quick and easy. For the cover page, I went with a wreath shape made of leaves, branches, acorns, mushrooms, and I wanted to include a small stack of pumpkins and a cute little fox at the bottom. For the leaves, I went through a few different shapes. Some of them are larger star shapes and some are smaller heart shapes. I've got a few longer spiky and wavy ones. You can really use any shapes that you want, and making them various sizes and colors helps differentiate everything. I also included some little mushrooms and acorn clusters here and there, and I just used my pen to doodle in these jagged twigs throughout the wreath. For the pumpkin doodles, I basically used this oval-ish shape and stacked like 5 or 6 of them together, making sure the ovals are smaller the further out they go. For this fox, I started with its 2 pointy ears at the top and made the top of its head and cheeks fuzzy looking. And drawing in the big fluffy tail next makes planning out the body easier, so you can just see what parts of the body are covered up by the tail. And don't forget to include little white parts on the tail and the bottom of the face. I went with 5 different Crayola super tip markers that I thought just screamed fall. I have a bright orangey red, a yellow, a regular orange, a muted mossy green, a burgundy, and a lighter reddish brown color. I go through one color at a time so I can make sure I'm not using one color way more than the others, since I want everything to look evenly distributed. And for the pumpkins, I went with the lighter orange color, and I colored in the fox with the bright orange red. Moving on to the calendar spread, I used my Tombow hard tip brush pen and wrote out the first letter of each day at the top, and at the bottom of the page I added in a small quote that says "Fall is here." Then going back to my Micron pen, I made each box 5 by 5 with 1 square space in between each one. For the empty space at the bottom, I doodled the little fox sitting there and enjoying the leaves falling around him. And to the side, I decided to make 2 giant mushrooms. To fill in the dates, I used the 5 different markers to write the numbers at the top of the box, and I also added a drop shadow for each one. This really helps make the page look a lot more colorful and less bland. I don't show it here because I kept changing my mind on how I wanted it to look, but for the to-do list, I ended up using the orange marker to make stripes down the box, and I added in some black bullet points and a black drop shadow around it. You'll see how it turned out during the final flip through. Now for my trackers, I went with a leaf and mushroom theme since they were the quickest to doodle for me. So unfortunately, no foxes here, but I still think it turned out looking cute and it still fits with the fall theme. Here you can see all of the different types of leaves I've been using throughout my spreads, and I had them cascading down the page diagonally. Then I drew in these black circles next to each one and added the dates in with my POSCA white marker. For my habit trackers, I went with this long rectangular boxed layout, and I doodled in a bunch of different mushrooms at the bottom. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like mushrooms really fit the fall season. If you don't think so, you can just doodle in some more leaves, and connecting them back to the mood tracker leaves will look super cool. since I was short on time, I needed to make my weekly spreads really simple and sweet. So for this first one, I doodled in a stack of 3 pumpkins at the top blank part, and each of these sections are 8 by 10 squares. I threw in a drop shadow around each one and included a notes section at the bottom. The next week, I used the Tombow heart tip brush pen and wrote out each day, extending a line from the last letter to the edge of the page to help separate each part. And just to have some type of doodle on this page, I added in some tiny mushrooms in the bottom corners. I felt like this needed just a bit more color, so I used the burgundy marker and went over the dates. The moment I started doing this, I wasn't sure if I regretted it or not, but I couldn't stop at this point, so it's fine. Everything's just fine. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of drawing in this little fox for this weekly spread, but basically I drew in the big fluffy tail at the bottom, connecting the body up to the 2 pointy ears, and I made its nose turned up slightly towards the small cluster of floating leaves. For the dates, I just drew in these rectangular borders with a striped drop shadow for each one. My intention was to make the boxes look like wooden planks, but at this point, I really was just winging it, and even though they didn't turn out exactly how I wanted them to, I feel like the cuteness of the fox helped salvage everything. Finally, for the last weekly spread, I doodled in these larger leaves to the left of the days. After coloring them in with the markers, I drew in a large black circle and used my white marker to fill in the dates on top. And of course, I had to include a notes section, and I made a long rectangle on the right with a bunch of floating leaf doodles at the top. I used the orange marker to make stripes down the note box, and here I messed up with the striping, and that was just easily covered up by my white marker. Then I'm adding in a drop shadow as the final touch, and that wraps up my September Plan With Me video. I hope you don't mind that I got this up a bit late. I was contemplating if it was even worth posting at all, but I figured this could just be used as inspiration for future months. So if you decide to recreate any of these spreads, please tag me on Instagram at AFZXX3. I can't wait to see them. Thank you so much for being patient with me, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!